Hello and welcome to Year 1 TV. We are here for the final race of the season. It is the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. It is a title decider and it is going to be, I believe, a ducking good night of racing. From myself, Dan Blake, in the commentary box, alongside me is Reece Saunders. Reece, we've seen 9 weeks so far of exciting racing. It comes down to this final 4 races. Who is going to be the champion? We have Chris Warner and Paul Cook fighting for the Pro Championship. I think it's going to be a cracking night of racing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this one hatches out, Dan. I'm really looking forward to see it. The MX-5s gave us a great show on Tuesday evening. And yeah, I just can't wait to see. This track requires a lot of driver control. Yeah, I can't wait to see how these guys fare for the throttle, Dan. But no, festivity out of the way. It's not Easter just yet, Dan, in all seriousness. I can't wait for this. This is a pinnacle. This is what I've been waiting for. This is 10 rounds of championship all coming to fruition. Yeah, it's going to be a great one.
And of course, it's not just the Pro Championship we got decided. We got 3 championships, and actually the closest battle is the Pro-Am Honours, with Martin Shirley and Ian Manners separated by just 19 points, I believe, going into this one as well. So it's going to be very close, not just for the Pro Championship, but the Pro-Am, and also we have the Am Championship decided. As we see here, the championship standings. This is with drop scores. Chris Warner leads away with 2,483 points. He has a 97-point lead over Paul Cook in the second place. Andy McEwen and James Neve are still outside shots. If Chris Warner and Paul Cook were not to have the best of evenings here at Brands Hatch, they could go into contention. Andy McEwen with 2,267 championship points. And I also believe that Andy took the BSR MX-5 championship as well on Tuesday. So congratulations, Andy, our champion from last season, doing it in the MX-5s this season. James Neve, we say, in 4th. Lee Holmes is in 5th place with Joe Winter in 6th. Then we have that Pro-Am battle between Martin Shirley and Ian Manners. In fact, it's 28 points between them at the moment. Martin Shirley, 2,030, but Ian Manners, we have 2,002. Craig Shield, an outsider for that one. He has 1,886 points, but we have seen stranger things in BSR racing. Luke Jones rounds out top 10. He is currently our AM championship leader, and he has quite a sizable margin to his JW Motorsport teammate Reece Watt in 11th. Fiona Siddons is 12th with Chris Dixon in 13th. Luke Pullen is 14th. Craig McDonald 15th. Glenn Humberstone 16th. Wayne Douglas in 17th place. Alistair Hatcher 18th. Michael Sill 19th. And Rob Jackson in 20th place. And we'll see the rest of the drivers who have participated in the championship here on the list there. See, 27 drivers have stepped out in this season's British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. It's been a competitive season. We've seen different drivers at the front, and as I say, I believe this Brands Hatch finale is going to be exactly sort of the same sort of thing we're going to see in this one as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm just going to have a look and see what the qualifying times as currently are at the moment. As I say, we are currently live in qualifying, and it's actually Wayne Douglas currently on provisional pole by 1/100th of a second from Chris Warner, with James Neve not far behind at all. So the top 3 in qualifying are separated by less than a tenth and a half. And BSR TC has been very close for qualifying. It seems to be in the races, though, where the quality has really made a difference. And I believe very shortly we will be heading trackside for the conclusion of that qualifying session with our Year 1 TV cameras. Graham Sesswood, of course, the man behind the cameras once again. And thank you very much, Graham, for the hard work and great pictures you provided for us this season. And I'm sure tonight will be no different.
Indeed, we'll be going with a bang as we approach the final round here at Brands Hatch, Dan. Really looking forward to this one. And it's so refreshing to see, not just in the MX-5s on Tuesday night, also as well in the TCRs tonight, that actually all 3 championships have gone to the wire. As we talked about, it's Jones versus Watt for the AM title, and then for the Pro-Am title, Manners versus Shirley. We'll see how that one works out. Now, Reece Watt actually hasn't attended so far tonight. We've got quite a small grid, 14 drivers here with us, and which means that a lot of points will be on offer. So big swings in potential. Another driver I noticed that isn't here tonight so far is Paul Cook. Now, he's 2nd place in the championship. So if he doesn't turn up, that will all guarantee Chris Warner leading the way over Andy McEwen in third. The gap's over 200 points between them. So we'll see how that one all shakes out here. But yep, so far it's now Chris Warner ahead of Joe Winter, with Wayne Douglas now relegated to third place. And it's Neve, Holmes and McEwen rounding out our top 6 here. And I say it's 7 cars within that magic second.
That's what, as you say, that has been sort of what the BSR TCR has been all about this season. Drivers have been extremely close, and the BSR MX-5s have produced similar racing as well. I caught a bit of the action on Tuesday, absolutely breathtaking action in that final race, and it will be interesting to see what happens here as we see the cars coming across the line. Andy McEwen is gone himself into 5th place, so Andy McEwen is in 5th with a 131.481, his fastest lap so far. James Neve, a 131.454, but that gap has extended. Chris Warner, with a very quick lap, puts himself only 3.5 tenths clear of the rest of the field, a 130.947, and it is Wade Douglas at a 131.290, the next competitor. So the gap is about 3.5 tenths between them. It's the Simtech Racing driver on pole position. But Wayne Douglas, we've seen Wayne Douglas, when he's had the luck and he's been able to put something together, he has taken victory this season, of course, in the BSRTC. So although Warner, he's not really fighting for a championship, if Paul Cook is not here, which he doesn't look like he is, I think that will definitely aid Chris Warner. All Chris Warner really has to do is finish these races in the first 2, and then we could potentially have a champion there and then.
Yeah, it looks like we're about there, and I'm getting confirmation actually from Rob Jackson in the YouTube chat that Paul's away this week. He's made every round bar the final, and unfortunately for Paul, the final round is the only round you can't drop, which is a bit of a disaster for him, and looks like that'll be the deciding factor in this year's championship. But you're right, there's still 4 races to compete for tonight, at least 2 championships as well on the line. Interesting to see Martin Shirley hasn't yet done a lap in qualifying, but a man who has, Ian Manners, his championship rival, currently leading the way in Pro-Am, currently the only Pro-Am to have actually qualified in P number 7, just 9 tenths of a second off our outright position.
So Ian Manners currently, actually, as you say, the only Pro-Am to put time in. As far as the class splits go this week, we have 6 drivers in the Pro class, the top class. We have 4 in the AMs and 4 in the Pro-Am. So spread out between the bottom 2 classes, but a slightly bigger uptake in that Pro class. And as we've seen, the racing throughout all 3 classes this season has been exceptionally good. And this qualifying session is drawing to a conclusion. There are some green sector times. The year 1 pair of Neve and McEwen. And in fact, McEwen has 2 green sectors, one in sector 1 and one in sector 3. So we could see an improvement for Andy McEwen, and he only has to improve by about 300ths in order to go above James Neve and into 4th place. And team tactics may be something that's not going to be in play with these 2. They are quite close together in the championship contention. McEwen slightly ahead of James Neve, but with them being as close together as they are, I don't think it's going to be making it easy for each other in this one. As I say, it's an outside shot for the championship, but they are realistically fighting now for second in the championship.
They are indeed. It's basically a fight to be best of the rest. We spoke right from the beginning, Dan, about how strong the Simtech drivers have been, and yet that's absolute proof, with Warner Cook dominating both championships so far this season. They have been just head and shoulders above, really. We spoke to Andy McEwen 2 weeks ago, obviously we missed last week due to a few technical difficulties, and he said that, you know, without put too much finer points on it, they were a step behind at year 1 compared to the Simtech racing cars, and that just goes showing in the stats, a couple of 100-point difference, which is absolutely huge in the world of BSR.
Oh, exactly. Also, of course, Joe Winter, if he's had to miss a few weeks due to work, because he won the year 1 cars off, there's Andy McEwen. So Andy McEwen has had an off. That will invalidate that qualifying lap and will mean he'll only have 1 more lap. But as I was saying, had Joe Winter not had the work commitments he had, I think he'd been right up there as well. As I say, those 3 Simtech racing drivers really have been the class of the field. But what's let them down is their consistency and availability. And obviously, as we know, real world can get in the way of everyone's favourite hobby sometimes. But those 2 drivers over the course of the season, if they've been able to put in a full season, I think the championship would have looked a lot different in terms of the top three, because those Simtech Racing drivers have been, when they've raced, they've been very, very consistent. They've all taken a fair share of the victories. But as you say, it's going to be the year one drivers of Andy McEwen and James Neave will be fighting for second in the championship. And as I say, I think if Joe Winter had been able to do more races, he would have put himself purely in contention as well.
Yeah, and they've just been, they've been so consistent between them. We spoke to Joe right after the first round of the season. He mentioned, he'd miss a few too many rounds to be in overall contention. But it's just been a really, really strong showing. It's a shame attendance has dwindled throughout the season. Obviously, only 14 cars here attending the final round, but I'm sure these drives are going to provide quality over quantity in the final 10 seconds here of the qualifying.
Yeah, to see Andy McEwen going through Graham Hill Bend. He has got a slipstream from the Sampsoy Dungeon driver of Ian Manners, and of course, as the checker flag now flies, Ian Manners will be in pole position in the Pro-Am class by virtue being the only Pro-Am driver to put a qualifying time in. But Andy McEwen will be liking the fact he's got a slipstream from this fellow Hyundai, although the car of Manners is actually one of the Hyundai Velosters, one of the only 2 or 3 we've had in the championship this season. The Elantra has been the pick of the bunch. And as you say, we've had the RDRS3 in the AM class. We did see the appearance, of course, for a couple of laps of the Honda Civic Type R as well at Donington, inadvertently, I will say. But we did see that Honda that you were craving for a season, Reese. But at the moment, Andy is going to be getting quite a nice slipstream from Ian Manners, although he's pushing wide. He's a 10th down. He's going to be even further behind now. Ian Manners getting a little bit in the way, I'd say, there of Andy. But he's going to come around to complete his final lap now. Will he be able to find the time? I don't think he will. He's 3/10 down. So, unfortunately, Andy McEwen is going to stay in 5th place as he completes his qualifying session.
Yeah, and confirmation just as he crosses the line there, Dan, no improvement from Andy. So that kind of settles our grid as we can see it. Still all to play for in at least 2 categories tonight, though. So really looking forward to that. That being said, we're about to head on over to the grid. What are you looking out for tonight?
I think for this last race meeting of the season, really, it's just about who can, as we sort of season, really, it's just about consistency. And if the story from qualifying is the same in the race, we have seen that the Simtech drivers in the races have actually been able to sort of step up an extra gear, and they've been the one in qualifying, but also when it comes to the race, they just, as I say, seem to find that extra gear. It'd be interesting to see if McEwen and Neave are able to cope with them. McEwen and Neave have had, as they usually do, a lot of practice on this circuit. Not only have they been doing the touring cars, but the MX-5 as well. And also can't count out Wayne Douglas either. He's in and around the front of the field. So I think there's a few little things to watch out for. Also, of course, about for Pro-Am. How close can Martin Shirley get to Ian Manners, and how long? Because the more points that Manners takes out of Shirley, it means the pressure will be on later in the race. He's had a bad start to the meeting, Martin Shirley, by not being able to qualify, and guessing by virtue of a penalty that he's had, which has meant he's not been able to qualify. And with Ian Manners as far ahead as he is, it's going to be about 5 or 6 places. Those places mean points. So Martin Shirley will want to try and get there as soon as possible. I think that could be one of the closest fights really tonight in this meeting, is for that Pro-Am Championship. As we see here, the grid. Chris Warner on pole position with Joe Winter alongside him in 2nd. It's Wayne Douglas 3rd with James Neave in 4th for year 1. Andy McEwen rounds out the top 5 with Lee Holmes in 6th. Lee Holmes also a race winner this season. Ian Manners is in 7th with Luke Jones in 8th. We have Andy Slocum 9th, Glenn Humberstone in 10th. And rounding out the field, we have Chris Dixon in 11th. We've got Martin Shirley 12th, Luke Pullen 13th, and Fiona Siddons on the back of a 14-car grid, as Reece was saying earlier. Not the biggest of turnouts we've had this season for the British Sim Racers touring cars, but we still have 14 cars on this grid at the Brands Hatch GP circuit. The second time we have been here this season. As we see, the lights are about to go on. So for the 37th time this season, the lights go on. Out they go, we're underway. A good start made by the front 2, although Wayne Douglas will try and sneak down the inside at Paddock Hill, not quite close enough. I think we are going to stay pretty much as we are in the top 5 or 6. We've got Ian Manners looking to make a move though on Lee Holmes, and also Wayne Douglas putting the nose in there just to try and get into the head of Joe Winter, but it hasn't worked. And as they go down towards Graham Hill Bend for the first time, we are as we started the race, although very wide there was Joe Winter. Wayne Douglas goes through, he's on the grass. Joe Winter making a very rare mistake. Dropped him down into third. It could be fourth. Johan car down the inside. It's Andy McEwen, the reigning champion. He is going to be on the outside line though as they go down. In fact, he slots in behind. And James Neve, with the loss of momentum for Andy, is going to try and make the move on his teammate. So it's all action here on the first half of the lap. The 2 Year 1 cars fighting. But I think one of the main talking points there, Reese, is a very rare mistake from Joe Winter. And it's cost him second place.
Yeah, they don't make many, and he's got Wayne Douglas in front of him. Now, Wayne Douglas is a wily old competitor, as we've touched on many times this season. He's not going to be an easy man for Joe Winter to get on by. All that's going to do, it's just going to allow Chris Warren to saunter off into the lead. And he's already broke the draft pretty much. He's a second ahead now already. Very impressive stuff on cold tyres on the first lap. Yeah, to come through clearways for the first time. It looks like Syntec Racing, yeah, they've got this one in the back. Oh! And is that James Neve off in the background? I think it is. He's losing spots left, right, and centre. Makes it back on without hitting anything far too solid, though. And he's back on in time for Paddock Bend. But yeah, that's James Neve all the way down to 8th. Even Andy McEwen stranded for the Year 1 cars on his own in the field.
Yeah, James Neve there, just going wide. That's a mistake that we've seen a couple of times, and sort of the championships we've covered over the years is at Brands Hatch, is you can get a wheel on the grass there. The racing line is to go out wide, but not quite that wide. And it was a bit of a wild ride there for James Neve, but he has been able to keep the car in one piece. There is no damage, as the car in front of our car in front of him there, that is Luke Pullen, got 2 wheels on the dirt there as well. But Ian Manners, we know we were saying earlier on, he will need to fight to try and stay ahead of Martin Shirley. He is in 6th place overall with the mistake from James Neve, but he is putting Lee Holmes under a lot of pressure at the moment, the pro driver, and Samsoid Dungeon driver of Ian Manners in the Veloster. He knows that he needs to outscore Martin Shirley. Currently, Martin Shirley is in 9th place, so there are 2 cars between them. So as it stands at the moment, he will take some points out of Martin Shirley. But Martin Shirley is on a mission. He's got the next car in front of him as being James Neve. We've just seen how competitive James Neve has been this season. Luke Pullen, although he's not done all the rounds this season, the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 driver, he is an extraordinarily quick driver on his day as well. So it's not going to be easy for Martin Shirley as Chris Warner puts in the fastest lap there of a 1:31.412. The gap now over a second and a half to Wayne Douglas in 2nd place, although he's very closely followed by Joe Winter. There's another car in the background there going into the barrier. That's Luke Jones, our AM Championship contender, has put himself into the wall, and I think that's going to be the end of his race there. That's damage. The back wheel has been removed, and there's no pressure for Luke Jones. His teammate Reese Watt not racing tonight, and Luke Jones, another one of those drivers who's been very consistent this season. We know that he recently had surgery and missed around, but back, as we say, back last week. He's raced this week, but it's quite lucky really for Luke that Reese Watt isn't racing, because that would have been the sort of opportunity that Reese had been looking for.
Indeed, big change there in our Prime category. Oh, sorry, in our AM category. Shouldn't affect things too much, however. Just due to the fact that, you know, he's not got any competition really. Not for overall honours, at least. They'll be annoyed that it ruins it. His evening's racing so far. Oh, and Andy McEwen running wide in Sterling there. He'll rejoin. He might lose a place or two, however. Yeah, Lee Holmes just getting on by that. And so does Ian Manners as well. And again, that'll be a critical thing for our Pro-Am Championship. And we can really see here our pro drivers actually having a great impact on the Pro-Am standings. On the subject of the pro, so we can see Joe Winter furiously flashing his lights. Douglas as they head down the start-finish straight. But no dice on the way into Paddock Bend there, as we've got a bit of a scramble at the back. Ian Manners running wide. That's actually letting Shirley up his inside. Martin Shirley, I should say, up his inside. And that's a change for not just the 2nd place for Pro-Am in the race, but also, in fact, as Ian Manners sends it up the inside down to Graham Hill Bend. There is a championship fight on hand tonight, guys. Make no mistake about that.
That's smart driving there for Martin Shirley. He knows that he can afford to give Ian Manners that place. As long as he sticks in behind the Sampside Dungeon driver, Ian Manners can finish in front of him in all 4 races. They won't change the championship positions. As long as Martin Shirley is round about where he is. It's a good battle between the Year 1 cars in front. That's the compromised Neve and McEwen. Luke Pullen's off now as well. That's a third Year 1 driver in as many laps to take the scenic route around Brands Hatch, but he's going to lose positions to his teammates, I believe, there, although slots in between the 2 pros there. So Luke Pullen goes in between Neve and McEwen. But as far as the Team Year 1 drivers are going, it did have an outside chance of the championship if anything was to go wrong. But at the moment, it seems all the misfortune is falling for them. A couple of little mistakes. And with Chris Warner, as we see at the moment, over 3 seconds in the lead now. This is what Warner would have wanted when he woke up this morning. He has got a clear track in front of him, no one ready to worry about in the mirrors, and his rivals for the championship are not having the best of days so far.
No, indeed, and this will probably secure Chris Warner our Pro Championship evening race 1. Now, this is a bit of a shout out to the chat, but I had Rob Jackson in my ear on Tuesday giving me all the permutations for championship points. Hopefully, he'll be able to do the same and officially crown our drivers in the background. Remember, there are bonus points on offer as well here in BSR. 2 for fastest lap, also as well, 2 for leading a lap. Currently, Chris Warner has got both of those. He's currently got fastest lap of the race, and he's also led every lap so far, so denying any of his contemporaries a shot there. As we see the 2 Year 1 cars, Pullen and McEwen, going side by side down the back straight. They've got Ian Manners just behind them as well. Obviously, Ian will be wanting to not only put as many cars as he can between himself and Martin Shirley, also as well overtake Luke Pullen for the overall honours in Pro-Am here. In race 1, as McEwen and Pullen touch, Pullen runs wide. McEwen gets a little sideways, but gets it saved. Actually, let's Shirley get the inside of Manners on the way through there, and as I say, they're coming up now, uphill, fast left hand. The whole back section of Brands Hatch is fast down. It actually looks like Martin Shirley's got the move done on Ian Manners all the way around the outside. And that was all down to him being held up by the Year 1 cars.
Yeah, the Year 1 cars getting involved again. They helped out Ian Manners earlier on in the race, but they're now hindering them massively. Wayne Douglas is doing well. We're seeing on screen now, still has Joe Winter behind him. He's put up quite a stout defence so far in this first half of the race, which has just over 7 minutes to go. As we say, Wayne Douglas has been a race winner this season in a British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. And it's a case maybe for Wayne Douglas of shoulda, woulda, coulda. If things have panned out differently for Wayne Douglas, he should have maybe had a lot better results than he has done this season. Some of them through mistakes he's made himself, others through just unfortunate bad luck of being caught up in other people's incidents, really. But in this race, it is certainly one of the pluses this season for Wayne Douglas, because he is holding off Joe Winter, who arguably has been one of the fastest drivers in the championship, if not the fastest, apart from maybe Chris Warner. Chris Warner has been dynamite in the runs that he has done, but now Joe Winter has proven that he is up there with the best drivers in the championship, along with, of course, Andy McEwen as well. For Year 1, has been leading their charge. But the 3 SimTech racing drivers, we say, really have been sort of the class of the field at the moment. But Chris Warner has extended that gap out now another 0.4 of a second. It's now about 3.5 seconds. But as I was saying, Wayne Douglas is doing well to hold back Joe Winter at the moment, because we've seen this season Joe Winter has been extremely fast and extremely sensible with what he's been doing with his car this season.
I'm going to give Wayne Douglas plenty of credit, though. He's currently 7/10 of a second clear of Joe Winter. And you can, with the slipstream, be able to overtake it nice and easy. And that's not something that's happened. In fact, we've seen Wayne Douglas actually slightly extend his gap. As we look back through the field, though, Martin Shirley, not only did he pass Ian Manners a couple of laps ago, he's actually passed soon-to-be former champion Andy McEwen. He's now up to P7, putting a car between himself and Ian Manners. And he's actually looking all over the back of Luke Pullen now as well. So this is about for overall honours in the Pro-Am category here in race 1. Obviously, we've got the reverse grids to come, but Pullen defending wisely around the outside of Graham Hill. Actually lets Andy McEwen get back up the inside. Yeah, all still to play for. Martin Shirley's got to be thinking, you know what? If I DNF, if I end up in the position of, say, Luke Jones, where I've got wheels hanging off the car, I'm not going to score any points. That's just going to be advantage Manners. So I need to keep it on the road. That's the most important thing for Martin Shirley right now. If you can stop Ian Manners from gaining any points over him here in race 1, kudos to him too for that.
I think these Pro-Am drivers are going to be cursing the existence of Andy McEwen. This battle has maybe been a slight bit of contact there between McEwen and Martin Shirley, but these 3 Pro-Ams are trying to fight it out for the Pro-Am lead. You got Andy McEwen trying to fight his way back through, following his dropping down of the... Oh, Luke Pullen there with some wheels on the grass on the exit there, but Andy McEwen arguably is out of position for where he should be. He should be a bit further up, but we saw that mistake earlier. Trying to get through the field, he's got these 3 fighting Pro-Ams, and Luke Pullen though is starting to pull away from Martin Shirley and Ian Manners. All the 4 drivers in this have got completely different sort of mindsets, I'd say, for this one. You've got Luke Pullen, he's not raced many races this season, so he's just going to go out and do whatever he can. You've got Andy McEwen, who has still got the outside chance of the championship as well, although those are dwindling lap by lap. And then you've got your 2 Pro-Am championship contenders, Shirley and Manners, who also have completely different mindsets. Shirley, although ahead of Manners at the moment, he could finish behind Ian Manners and it won't make a difference. And I think that's going to be something to watch out for as we get towards the end of this race. We have actually just only the 3.5 minutes to go, so when we get to the start-finish line next time, it will be 2 laps to go. And I think that is going to be the battle to keep an eye on, is the one for the Pro-Am lead between Shirley and Manners. Shirley has started to pull away a little bit to the tune of 0.4 of a second. But at the moment, I think it is going to be sort of advantage Shirley for race 1. As you see, Chris Dixon in 12th place currently, the last remaining runner. It actually looks like only 13 cars started this race. Fiona Siddons was a non-starter, so not a good race for Fiona. Maybe some technical difficulties there have stopped the year 1 car being able to make the track. But Chris Dixon in 12th place, and is Chris Dixon a driver who hasn't been with us the full season, but to be fair to Chris, he's actually kept at it, and I believe actually 3rd place in the Pro-Am Championship, just through that sheer determination to keep on going and get as many points as he can. Where other drivers have missed rounds, it's just that consistency that we've seen week by Chris has helped him to elevate himself up the championship.
Yeah, it's rare to see a mistake from Chris Warner, and you can see that he's pulled away a 4.2 second gap. He's winning this race at a canter from the cars behind, and Joe Winter's still all over the back of Wayne Douglas, but we've not really seen Joe get alongside Wayne at any point. Wayne seems to have got maybe not enough in hand, but he's certainly made his car wide enough that it keeps Joe behind him, and they've both had more than enough pace in hand to keep Lee Holmes and James Neve behind as well. Interestingly, James Neve, we saw him go off the road earlier on. He has actually caught Lee Holmes up, and that's actually one of our close battles on the grid as well. Only 2 attempts between them as they come down into Hawthorne here with 2 laps to go. Is that James Neve? It is indeed, and you can see him all over the back of that 88 Tech car as well. We've spoken plenty of Year 1 TV and also of the Simtech racing cars so far this evening. A team we've not given enough credit to, I suppose, is the 88 Tech cars. They're kind of the 3rd biggest team on our grid, an outfit very well run by Glenn Humberston, and yeah, they've been brilliant representatives in our championship so far, Dan.
Oh, exactly. As you say, they've been race winners as well. It's as we see, we are now on the last lap. So Lee Holmes has actually won a race for 88 Tech this season. As I say, a race winner, and also the 88 Tech drivers in the Pro-Am. Craig Shield currently 3rd in the championship, but Lee Holmes is going to have a very tough last lap trying to fight off a determined James Neve, who'll be looking to grab as many points as possible. Of course, it's still not out of the question that Neve can overtake Andy McEwen for the 2nd place overall position. So as we see now, he's going to try and make the move down towards the GP loop, down to the inside he goes. Oh, very, very close, touching paint there. Potentially no major contact made. I think Lee Holmes will actually get the better drive out. And as they go down the hill, he will be on the inside line, with Neve on the outside. Yes. That's going to stay the same.
Yeah, that side draft almost helping Neve get to the inside though. But we're going to cut away from our drivers here, and we're going to go back to our race leader, Chris Warner, currently into Stirling for the final time at the lovely left-handed bank corner. After the high speed of the backstretch, Stirling just kind of invites you to attack with more extra grip, and then clearways, drops away and exit. Got to be careful not to dip a tyre. Chris Warner does exactly the opposite of that, though. Keeps it between the white lines, heads across the line for the final time in race 1. Chris Warner wins race 1 of the final meeting of the season. Douglas second, wins a third. And with that, even if Paul Cook was to turn up in the final race of the season, and Neve gets him on the line there. Neve gets Holmes on the line. But yeah, that should crown Chris Warner as overall champion. Another drag race to the line. Luke Pullen edging out now former champion Andy McEwen for P7. And then Ian Manners finishing P number 8. That being said, what happened to Martin Shirley? He's currently classified a lap down on my timing screens. So Martin Shirley finished in P12. Ian Manners is in the pits. He's got damage to his car there. Hopefully you on TV can get us a replay of what happened to Martin Shirley. But that's all changed in Pro-Am. And that's definitely championship advantage to Ian Manners.
That's interesting. I think what we need to see is how Martin Shirley ended up in that position, because they were fighting together. Here we go, here's the replay. So this is on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. They're going in towards Jewids. Oh, that's interesting. It was contact between the two championship contenders there. And as we see there, it is Martin Shirley who's ended in the pit lane. As I say, we won't judge on the instant. That will go to the clerks of the course, I believe, at the end of the meeting. So they'll be able to see what's happened there. But contact between the two championship contenders, not ideal. But the fact that Martin Shirley is only one lap down means he will be getting a classified finish, I believe, there. So not all lost for Martin Shirley, but it will be a bit of a hit to his championship lead. And going into the second race, we have the reverse grid wheel very shortly. Of a final meeting this season, we'll see the reverse grid wheel. And yeah, as I say, it's the 13 cars that went out there, produced a good show. When we did see quite a bit of drama, a lot of cars making small mistakes, which cost them a lot of time with the field so closely bunched during the early stages of the race. Of course, we saw Luke Jones, our AM championship leader, and sort of, even despite that moment he's had there, I think he's still well in contention to take that championship lead. But what it will do is it will bring drivers closer to him, and we'll have to have a look, I think, when we get the points up later, to see if it is enough for him to be crowned the champion. But we're going to go for the first time tonight to Graham Sesswood and his Wheel of Fortune. 13 car grid, so not the biggest grid we've had of the season. So the reversal is going to be 13 maximum in this one. As we see here, it is the wheel in all its glory. Graham presses that magic button as we see it. Yeah. So here we go. It is going to be, I think this is going to go to 6, you know. It is. It is going to be a 6-car reverse. And that will put Luke Pullen on pole position. So our Pro-Am winner from race 1, Luke Pullen, will go on to pole position for the second race. As we see here, our podium, it's Chris Warner overtaking Richie, Wayne Douglas second, and Joe Winter in third place. And we'll see the rest of the results very shortly from round 37. As we see there, confirmation that it is Warner, Douglas and Winter on the podium. James Neve took 4th place on the line from Lee Holmes. That was an interesting overtaking move. Luke Pullen takes the Pro-Am win in 6th place of Andy McEwen, 7th. Ian Manners, 8th, second in Pro-Am. We saw him have the contact with Martin Shirley. Andy Slocum, 9th, takes the AM win after the troubles for Luke Jones. Glenn Humberstone, 2nd place in AM for the 88 Tech Team Manager. In 11th place is Chris Dixon. He was the last of the drivers to finish on the lead lap. Martin Shirley, 1 lap down, will be classified. Luke Jones, though, a retirement in his JW Motorsport Audi. We saw him have issues coming out of Paddock Hill Bend. And Fiona Siddons was a non-starter in that race, so, of course, non-classified as well in that one. So, as we see there, that is how the race results were for that first race. We have 3 more races to come after this one. And we are going to have a look very shortly at see what's going on with the... so fact, what we got is...
I've just had some news come on through to me from Rob Jackson, who's one of the series organisers. I'm sorry to cut across you just there, my friend.
That's okay.
But Luke Jones, with that last race result, has actually been crowned AM champion. So that's our first championship decided of the season. And that's Luke Jones, our AM champion. So congratulations to him and good luck for him next season in Pro-Am. Not quite yet championship secured for Chris Warner. He's currently in 248 points. But basically, simple maths for him. He just needs to score in the next race to do it.
What a way for Luke Jones to seal the championship, though, in the barrier. Yes, at Paddock Hill Bend. I'm sure he won't care about that, though, because he has crowned our champion. As I say, congratulations to Luke Jones on taking the first championship of the night. That is AM sorted. And Pro-Am is probably the closest battle we have. But, of course, Chris Warner with a chance to seal the big one in race 2. And Chris Warner will have to start that one from 6th place. What we'll do is we will go to a commercial break here on Year 1 TV. But we'll be back for race 2. Will Warner be able to seal it? Find out after this break. Hello and welcome back to Year One TV. I'm Dan Blake. I've got Rhys Saunders alongside me, and as we said before, before we get to the break there, becoming our first champion, Luke Jones. Luke has taken 7 AM victories this season. Remarkably, his teammate Rhys Watt has taken 19 victories in AM this season, but not been enough to seal the championship. The consistency of Luke has been such that even though Rhys has all those victories, he wasn't able to come away with the championship. And also, of course, he's missing tonight as well, which really was the sealing moment for Luke Jones. And despite being in the barrier at the end of that first race and not finishing, the margin up against the others was just too much for him to be denied the champion. But to get 7 AM victories, that is a good effort there from Luke Jones and JW Motorsport. Between them have taken 26 wins in the AMs out of 40 races. That's only 3/4 of the race wins that one team.
Yeah, very dominant showing there, Dan. And Dan, you are the man with the stats. How many races has Rhys Watt actually entered this season? Obviously, it's won 19, which is a really impressive number. Yeah. But I remember him being a late arrival to the championship. So I'd be really interested to see what his win percentage is.
Rhys Watt has made 28 starts this season. So he has 19 wins from 28, which not bad going. He's
high 60%, isn't it? If my maths holds roughly true.
Maths is never my strong subject. I got an E, so I'm not the person to be asking any mathematical questions. But I can see that he has made. He's raced in 7 of our 10 weeks this season. So the average finish for Luke Jones overall is an 11.5. I've told my ear, so that's not bad going. That's so with the AM Championship there, 11.5 means that he's been in and around the pros, not the pros, the pro-ams. That's what I was looking for. He's been in and around the pro-ams all season, really, with that sort of finishing. As we see that we're getting back to racing very shortly because we have the second race, which will be starting imminently here at Brands Hatch on the GP circuit. And we're going to have a look at the practice times at the moment, as we've got the grid for the top 6 being reversed from our first race. So we see one of the one cars, they're getting it extremely wrong on the exit of Graham Hill. As we'll see the grid very shortly for what is going to be round 38 of the championship. We are really bringing the end of the season in quite rapidly here tonight. And there we go. So Luke Pullen is on pole position with Lee Holmes alongside him on the front row. The second row, James Neve and Joe Winter. The third row is Wayne Douglas and our first race winner, Chris Warner. Andy McEwen is in 7th, Ian Manners 8th. It's Andy Slocum, 9th on the grid, Glenn Humberstone 10th, Chris Dixon 11th, Martin Shirley is in 12th with Luke Jones 13th, and Fiona Siddons we have as 14th, but Fiona, as of yet, hasn't made herself onto the grid, so Fiona not been out in the first race, and it looks like whatever gremlins struck her in the first race may be striking once again for a second time tonight, as we see she's not on the grid. As we look at Luke Pullen there in the Hyundai Lancia on pole position, Luke Pullen himself in the Pro-Am category has taken some victories as well. But what we have now is for the 38th time this season, the lights go on. Out they go, we're underway, and it's a good start from the second row there by James Neve, who looks to pull alongside the car of Lee Holmes, the 88 Tech driver, and takes a bit of curb, and it's going to be Holmes on the outside. I saw Fiona Siddons actually making her way into the race on the pit lane, so it's a pit lane start for Fiona, but Luke Pullen into Druids has the lead. There's side-by-side action further back. That's Wayne Douglas and Andy McEwen. We've seen those two drivers have some contact earlier in the season. They kept it clean so far on the first lap. Luke Pullen, though, trying to make a break, if at all possible, from the rest of the pack, the Pro-Am driver, as he goes round into Surtees up towards Pilgrim's Drop down Hawthorne Hill for the first time. It's Luke Pullen in the lead. Lee Holmes in second place. James Neave third, Joe Winter fourth. And it looks like there's going to be an attack made by Chris Warner on Andy McEwen. He was looking down the inside of Hawthorns. Was he able to make his stick? No, he wasn't. Just behind him as well is Ian Manners, who is in 8th place overall and 2nd in the Pro-Am. But the field bunching up a bit more than they did in that first race. As 2 cars are off, that's Pullen and Holmes. Oh, contact with Wayne Douglas as he came back on the track. And there's also the Simtek car off as well. That is Joe Winter. Lee Holmes is off. We've got Douglas with damage. Oh, that's really unfortunate there for Wayne Douglas. We were just saying in the first race about him being the victim of other people's mistakes. And that's another example there. But what it has put is that James Neave in the lead. And that second half of the lap race has really shaken things up a bit there.
Yeah, it all cracked off on the always. We got the Simtek car of Joe Winter making a uncharacteristic mistake. And he's now got his teammate Chris Warner, championship elect, trying to get up his inside into Druids. Yeah, Joe Winter apparently getting pushed out, I think, by Luke Pullen. That puts him in P4. He's getting to the rear bumper of Andy McEwen as head down into Grey Mill Bend and up towards 30s for the second time. But James Neave currently trying to sprint away from his teammate Luke Pullen there. Year 1, 2 and 3 here in race number 2 of the evening. But they've got a pair of Simtek cars behind them. And there's one thing we've learnt this season, is that you can't keep Simtek behind for very long. Ian Manners though, P6, currently about a second and a half ahead of Martin Shirley in 7th. And that'll be really important for championship standings just there. It's the tightest title fight, easy for you to say, so far in our field, and they've been pretty much glued together on track all evening as well, Dan.
Yeah, and as you say, the Simtek drivers also don't like being behind Team Year 1 drivers. We've noticed that trend this season, that on the occasions the Year 1 drivers have managed to get ahead, that Simtek rather quickly try and readdress the situation. But the car of Andy McEwen doing extremely well. He's working with Luke Pullen to keep the Simtek drivers at bay, and James Neave all of a sudden pulling out a lead of nearly a second and a half as McEwen looks to go down the inside of Pullen for 2nd place, and that looked rather easy. But in the meantime, Simtek door bang there. A little bit of, they're getting close. It's nearly 3 wide going into Druids. That's not recommended as a Simtek racing car goes firing off into the barrier in the background. And like Andy Slocum. So Andy Slocum is the car who has hit trouble further back. But towards the front is Joe Winter making his way past Luke Pullen. I think there was a little bit of contact on the previous lap between Pullen and Winter. A typical touring car move gets him up into the position. But Luke Pullen able to keep Chris Warner behind him.
Yeah, no, it's going very well so far for the Year 1 pair in front. But Pullen, I think he did door Joe Winter off on the previous lap. Gets to take his own medicine there in Paddock Hill next time by. And that puts him back to P4. He's now got Chris Warner just behind him. If there's a driver from the TCR field, I wouldn't want behind me, I should say. It's Chris Warner, who, as I mentioned, doesn't make very many mistakes. However, that one he has made, he's just let Ian Manners through into P number 5, and that puts himself between Manners and Shirley, which is important for Pro-Am, as Chris Warner, the Rallycross Championship runs on a different night, Chris. You've got to keep it between the white lines. There's not as much grip out on the grass, although the front-wheel drive cars are quite forgiving.
Maybe a little bit of dirt on the tyres there from the first off-track excursion. Warner going a little bit wide. No harm, though, there done on the exit of Sterling's, but you won't do that too many times as James Neave puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 32.871. So James Neave with the fastest lap. He's got Andy McEwen in 2nd. It's the Year 1-2 with Joe Winter in 3rd. Luke Pullen is in 4th. Then we've got a battle we're on board with between Ian Manners and Chris Warner for 5th place. And Warner gets such a better drive out of Graham Hill as they get down the inside in towards 30s. That is going to be the move done, I think, there for the Simtek Racing driver. Although he's fighting back. Manners fighting back on the outside. Got a better run on the exit. And that is going to mean that Chris Warner is not going to have the best of lines going down in towards what is going to be Hawthorns. And Ian Manners, though, will get the car in front. Warner will try and maybe cut back, but he's not going to be able to. So a position gain there for Ian Manners. As we were saying before, in the battle between himself and Martin Shirley, is absolutely crucial. Manners finished ahead of Shirley in the first race and is doing so again in the second race. And I do wonder if there's going to be any team play here. But Warner down the inside of Manners again this time as they went. Oh, come on! That's into the barrier. That could be a landmark moment in the Pro-Am Championship. That is damage-free and Manners, and that is devastating to see another championship battle potentially ending with a car in the wall. Ian Manners was fighting with Chris Warner. Warner went down the inside. Ian Manners found himself with the car, on the wheels on the grass. It spat him across the track into the barriers, and a heartbroken Ian Manners is going back into the pit lane. And I've got a fear that that's going to be a non-classification as we see it here on the replay. Warner was down the inside, and yeah, it's just a wheel on the grass. He lost control straight across the track into the barrier, and that is a heartbreaking end for Ian Manners' championship to potentially end there.
Yeah, it's pretty devastating for Ian. I don't think it'll be championship quite over just yet, although it might very well be a decisive blow in the favour of Martin Shirley. They were so close together in points at the start of the evening. I think it's going to take more than one DNF to completely sway it, but it's definitely advantage Shirley right now. One person who has got an advantage is James Neve. That advantage isn't as big as it was. It's now only 8 tenths over his teammate Andy McEwen. Andy virtually being pushed down the road by Joe Winter for P number 3. And yet that gap is closing fast. 7 tenths, 6 tenths now. And literally as quick as I say it, the gap seems to be coming on down. Luke Pullen still holding off Chris Warner. Now, we did say at the top of our race 2, all Chris has got to do is just score points. He's pretty much all but assured the Pro victory for the season. It looks like that's going to be the case. It looks like he's pretty happy to be settling behind Luke Pullen and just bringing it home.
And I say that's what Chris Warner needs to do, and it would be a very well-deserved championship for Chris Warner. But we still have another 6 minutes and 54 seconds to go. We have seen drama already in this race once. It would happen again for a second time. That is the one thing about touring car racing and racing in general, is it's so unpredictable. Anything can happen. But something that I do predict happening is that there's going to be a battle for the lead, because McEwen and Winter are definitely catching up to the back of James Neve, and our outgoing champion Andy McEwen, he is the reigning and current, the current BSR MX5 champion, crowned on Tuesday. He'll be looking to finish his BSR TC season with another win, I think, and James Neve definitely not having the pace to get away from McEwen and Winter at the moment, but McEwen will have to see if what's more important. Is he going to defend from Winter or go for the lead? Because I think the slightest mistake and Joe Winter will be passed. So Andy McEwen's got to be really careful. He's in that position where do I defend, do I attack? But knowing Andy, I think he'll be wanting to attack, as Andy McEwen likes taking race victories and maybe not had as many this season as you would hope in the British sim racers touring cars. But I think he's got a golden opportunity here to finish the season with potentially a win here at Brands Hatch.
Indeed, yeah, it's always that one. When you're the meat in the middle of the sandwich, it's always best to just attack, to push forward, and that way you don't have to worry about what's going on behind. And that might very well be what James Neve finds himself doing. As we see a move in the background for P number 4, it finally looks like Chris Warner decided to try and make a move on Luke Pullen. Tries to go up the inside of Paddock Hill. Luke holding on to the outside, but say unable to hold on by the looks of it. It looks like Joe's going to get clear. No, not quite. Luke stays up the inside down to ground. Oh, they bang doors. Oh, and our champion-elect there getting fired up into the air like a prime Lewis Hamilton. He comes back down. Hopefully it's not caused any terminal damage to his car. But wheel-to-wheel action there for our champion-elect.
And there's a change for the lead because Andy McEwen is going down Hawthorne Hill towards Hawthorne's. Is he going to have the lead? Yes, he is. He's on the inside, but James Neve will have the momentum on the outside. This teammate's touching door panels there. Graham Sessford will be very nervous about the repair bills of these cars. But Joe Winter as well. We said that the slightest little mistake or disadvantage he'll be through. He's going to try and make it through on James Neve for second place. He does. Neve very lucky there not to put a wheel on the grass. And the 2-year-1 drivers fighting has allowed the Simtech Racing driver of Joe Winter to get past. Maybe not the smartest thing they could have done there, but Andy McEwen does find himself in the lead.
Yeah, I've got the exasperated words of a team boss in my ear right now. Not too impressed with his drivers. They could have worked together a little bit better there to keep Joe Winter behind. He has declined so far throughout this season to become the team boss interview. We see it happen quite successfully on the Sky Sports coverage. But yeah, not something we can provide for you, mainly just due to the grouchiness of the year one boss when he sees his cars losing places. On the subject of losing places, Luke Pullen looks like, is he having to concede yet to Chris Warner? Or no, he's going to send it with the inside of Graham Hill. Once again, they don't touch this time, but this time Chris Warner will get the run off the corner. He will get the number 4 on the road. And Martin Shirley is next for Luke Pullen. The gap's about a second and a half. And it looks like Luke Pullen's going to take a second-class win of the night if it stays as it is. But again, a big plus Martin Shirley's the fact that his championship rival is currently in P11 and not classified for the reverse grid.
No, Ian Manners, he's not able to get out within the 2 laps he needed to. Look at Nick Jones, Pro-Am champion, shall I say. He'll be moving up into Pro-Am next season. And he has got behind him the recovering, in fact, that's Glenn Humberstone, not the recovering Holmes. That is Glenn Humberstone, who is currently in 8th place overall, 2nd in AM. Fiona Siddons, from her pit lane start, she's going to get a top 10 overall, the way things are looking at the moment. She is in 9th place, although has the attentions of her teammate Chris Dixon not far behind in the battle for 9th. You see that on the screen, the 2 year 1 drivers, pretty much nose to tail, the Elantra and the Veloster. But Fiona, a rare top 10 for her, but I think she'll be quite happy with that. Despite the fact it's been a bit of a depleted field tonight, a top 10 is still a top 10. Chris Dixon not far behind her though and putting her under pressure. And we currently actually only have the 10 cars currently classified. We have Ian Manners, Andy Slocum, Wayne Douglas and Lee Holmes, who are currently either in the pits or are retired from this race. As we have just about 2 minutes left to go, Andy McEwen, the gap to himself and Joe Winter, 4/10 of a second, and Joe Winter not far behind the Team Year 1 lead driver in the British Sim Racers Touring Cars. To say he is a defending champion, Andy McEwen. We saw Simtech Racing take a victory in race 1. Andy McEwen will be extremely keen to put Team Year 1 onto the winners board or Brands Hatch, but Joe Winter very close behind. They've got Wayne Douglas, who's come out of the pit, so his damage repairs must be done. I wonder what condition that car's in, and if it will become a factor in this race. They're not far behind Wayne Douglas. Joe Winter, as they go through Dingle Dell, yeah, Wayne Douglas is going to pull over. That car's still very heavily damaged, but he's going to try and get at least another couple of laps in. It's not going to make a difference because he's lost more than 2 laps already. But what it will make a difference for is if he can do more laps than Manners and Slocum, it will actually make him up a couple of places up on the reverse grid. So good thinking there from Wayne Douglas potentially there, Reese. He's thinking if he can get out and just do a couple of laps, he will make some places. As we're now on to the last lap of the race, it's Andy McEwen under a lot of pressure from Joe Winter, and McEwen has been put under pressure from Syntec before this season and been able to hold it off. And he's got another pretty much a whole lap of Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit to do so as he goes into Druids. But at the moment, Andy McEwen holding on well.
Indeed, Andy McEwen leading on the final lap of the race for Year 1 in P1, driving car number 1. He's doing a great job holding off Joe Winter. You've got James Neve in P3, and you saw Joe jump from 3rd to 2nd, taking advantage of the Year 1 cars fighting early in the race. He'll be trying to do that once again there, but it looks like the gap's all just a little bit too big. I don't think Joe's going to get close enough challenging to Hawthorne. Indeed, he is not. Just looking on down, this is the closest battle on the field. They have got Chris Dixon just behind Fiona Siddons 4P9. There's about 8/10 of a second there. It looks like Andy McEwen, provided he doesn't make any mistakes, it's so hard to pass in this fast backstretch of the track. He should manage to hold on through the GP loop. Let's say through the right-hander they go, just there. Andy using all the road, not too much, not dipping a wheel onto the grass. It looks like as they head down towards Clearways for the final time down, Andy McEwen has this one in the bag.
So Andy McEwen comes round Clearways for the final time. It will be Clark Curve, and Andy McEwen will take race 2 at Brands Hatch. Round 38 on the GP circuit goes to Andy McEwen, but I believe crossing the line now in 4th place to take the championship is Chris Warner. Chris Warner, the BSR TC champion provisionally, I believe, there with that 4th place finish. Yeah, I think that's enough to see them the championship. Luke Pullen takes the Pro-Am winner. Martin Shirley taking 2nd and Pro-Am 6th overall. Luke Jones is the Am leader, or the Am winner, shall I say, for that race. In 7th for Glenn Humberstone in 8th. And the battle between the 2 Year 1 cars, it is going to be Fiona Siddons, it looks like, who is just going to edge out Chris Dixon. They go around clearways and through Clark Curve for the final time. It is going to be Fiona taking that top 10 finish in 9th place, with just behind Chris Dixon in 10th place. Wayne Douglas did complete a 3rd lap, and that has actually moved him up 2 places for the grid in the next race. Instead of starting 14th, he should finish starting 12th, shall I say. But Andy McEwen, as to say, maybe not had as many wins as he would have hoped in this season's British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship, but that is his 5th of the season. And as we say, Andy McEwen taking victory here on the GP circuit at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, it looks like he's enjoying his victory lap just there as well, Dan. We are halfway through our final round of the championship. I'm pretty sure that will confirm Chris Warner as our pro champion as well. Although I will wait for the always faithful word from Rob Jackson just to confirm that. And I know he's a Simtech Racing driver as well, so he'll be well chuffed with his driver's progress just there. Another great race of action though. McEwen just holding off Joe Winter. Really good, and looking forward to what the final 2 races of the evening are going to hold. We've already got congrats in there from Jeff Greenhut in the YouTube chat as well. Good to see you. And just a quick reminder before we do the spinning wheel for round 3, if you have enjoyed the broadcast so far, please do feel free to hit that like and subscribe button as well to see more future broadcasts from Year 1 TV. But yeah, I think, have we got the spinning wheel loaded up here by Graham Sesford?
Not that time this season, he does bring out his spinning wheel. As we say, there is actually only in this race 10 cars even eligible for the reverse grid. So anything over 10, it will actually still be 10. It looks like we're going to have 6 for a second time tonight. And if we do, it will put Martin Shirley, our Pro-Am Championship leader, on pole position. And you know what? That's exactly what it's going to do. So for the second time tonight, it's the top 6 reversed. And it's Martin Shirley, our Pro-Am Championship leader, who puts himself on pole position with his Pro-Am Championship rival Ian Manners starting in, I believe, 11th place. As we see the podium there, it is Andy McEwen taking his 5th win of the season, Joe Winter 2nd, and James Neve in 3rd place. There is confirmation of the top 3 margin of victory, just under 2/10 for Andy McEwen, with James Neve a further 6/10 behind. Chris Warner takes 4th place and provisionally the championship with that result. Luke Pullen is our Pro-Am winner for the 2nd time tonight, 5th overall, ahead of Martin Shirley in 6th, taking another step towards sealing the Pro-Am championship. Luke Jones is 7th, winning the Am Classic. Glenn Humberstone in 2nd. Fiona Siddons is 9th overall and takes a podium in the Pro-Am class, a 3rd place for Fiona, with Chris Dixon in 10th place with a Am podium, and they were the only drivers who managed to complete the race. Ian Manners in 11th with Wayne Douglas, Andy Slocum and Lee Holmes, all non-finishers. So we have 4 non-finishers in that race out of our 14 drivers. 10 finished. Reverse grid of 6. Martin Shirley, the Pro-Am Championship leader, currently on pole position. So that'll be a good place for Martin Shirley to be. And we have seen this season, I believe, already that Martin Shirley has actually taken an overall win. So he'll be looking to double up on overall wins. But he has been rather dominant this season in the Pro-Am Championship, taking 16s so far over the course of the season there. So Martin Shirley will be looking to add to that. And we just see that Ian Manners had that unfortunate incident in the last race when he was being overtaken by his Simtech Racing teammate Chris Warner. There's no sort of blame attributed to Warner there. It's just a case of Manners went wide there, put a wheel on the grass, and then he was straight across the track and into the wall. And out of all the good things we've seen from Ian Manners this season, that could be one of the moments that is quite pivotal in terms of his championship campaign this season.
Yep, so I've just had confirmation as well. So as long as Martin Shirley scores in race 3 of the evening, he should be crowned the Pro-Am champion here in race 3. And on the subject of crownings, our overall king for the season is Chris Warner. He has now won the pro category. So congratulations to Chris. We've had 2 races and 2 champions so far. So it's all to play for in Pro-Am still. So we'll see who gets crowned for that. But yeah, so that is it for race number 2 of the evening. We'll be heading now into race 3, but we'll be taking a short break just before that, just to refresh ourselves. So grab a drink and be there or be square.
Good evening and welcome back to Year One TV. We are set for race 3 very shortly of the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. We've had two champions crowned in our first 2 races. We are going for 3 from 3 in this one, as we've seen the first race, Luke Jones crowned as the AM champion, with Chris Warner taking the overall championship. As you see here, confirmation of that. Chris Warner has 2,671 points. Andy McEwen is in second place. He has 2,443 points. James Neve is third with 2,428. Paul Cook is absent on 2,386. Joe Winter may actually be able to overhaul Paul Cook by the end of the evening, depending on the results he gets. So 4th place could be under threat. Lee Holmes is 6th, and as we say, this could be the race where we see Martin Shirley in 7th place overall take the Pro-Am Championship victory, with Ian Manners in 8th, Craig Schill in 9th, and our AM champion Luke Jones rounding out the top 10.
Yes, Dan, with 100 points available for the win, effectively Martin Shirley just needs to outscore Ian Manners here in race number 3 to make that happen. And he's got it all stacked in his favour right now because, as you know, Martin Shirley, through finishing P6 on the small reverse grid that we had, he'll be starting on pole position in race number 3. And he has won races overall this season as well, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast. And Ian Manners, by not finishing in the last race, will be starting well down the order in, I believe, to be P number 11. So he'll definitely have his work cut out if he can drag the Pro-Am fight into the final round of the season.
That's what we want to see. We want to see something go down to the wire. We've seen 2 decided already, and although unlikely, it would be nice to see one go to the wire. But Martin Shirley has been pretty dominant this season in Pro-Am, to be honest. So it's something that he's well deserved to take that championship, and it'd be interesting to see how Martin Shirley gets on in the Pro Championship next season, because we've seen over the course of the season that he has been able to compete with the pro drivers on occasions this season, and of course starting from pole position in this race as well, he will be in prime position once again to get high overall points. And in fact, it actually was in the I believe it was in the first race of the season that Martin Shirley took that win. It was the first meeting at Donington in race 3. So right in that very first meeting, Martin Shirley took an overall victory, and he will be looking to double up on that one, as we sort of soon will be going to the track for they've got 1 minute 30 left before the cars will start to gridding up in that one. And it's to say, we've got 2 champions already crowned. There's going to be a third one. What was it you're looking forward to in this race, Reese? It's our penultimate race of the year as we look into our drivers of the week. So in the pro class, it's Chris Warner 188 points, with Andy McEwen 176, just 1 point ahead of Joe Winter at 175. So Andy McEwen is, as we say, Andy McEwen not far behind Chris Warner and just 1 point ahead of Joe Winter. So we have that's how things are looking in the pros. And yeah, as I was saying, Reece, what are you looking forward to seeing in this third race of the evening?
I think see, whether we will get that Pro-Am Championship decided here in race number 3. And it's almost an audition, I suppose, for Martin Shirley. We're pretty much certain that he will be getting promoted up to Pro, pun intended indeed. And it will just see how he can hold out against some of the very talented pro drivers we had. Not in the TCR, but this week in the MX5s, I actually took part in the Monday practice session. And I was very impressed with just how quick the drivers are. I consider myself no slouch. And I was about a second off the pace of our championship leaders. So the BSR championships are full to the brim of quality. Dan, you're a well-versed man in terms of rules, regulations, and also prizes. We've been asked in the YouTube chat, what is the prize for winning? Is it bragging rights, or is there in fact a trophy or prize on board for the winners of the BSR?
Oh, you're testing me now. We can have a look and see. Of course, British Sim Racers, we may have to do it after this race. British Sim Racers, over the years, have had some incredibly big prize funds. I remember the British Sim Racing Touring Cars Championship a few years ago having over £1,000 worth of prize fund, and you had the likes of Ashley Sutton, British Touring Car Champion, showing up for that one. But as we see now, we are on the grid for our third race of the evening. As I say, we will get to the prize element of this after this race. Martin Shirley on pole position with Luke Pullen in second. Row 2 sees Chris Warner and James Neve. Row 3 is Joe Winter and Andy McEwen, with the fourth row being all Am, Luke Jones and Glenn Humberstone. Fiona Siddons is in ninth with Chris Dixon running out of top 10. We've got Ian Manners, who'll be looking to gain position as some 11th, Wayne Douglas 12th, Andy Slocum 13th, and Lee Holmes rounding out what is a 14 car grid. So for the 39th time, penultimate time this season, the lights go on. Out they go. It's a good start for Martin Shirley on pole position. Luke Jones has had a bit of a bad start further back down the grid. I see him tumbling down there, but it's Martin Shirley making the most of pole position. Although it's second place is currently Luke Pullen in that year one car, and he will be able to fight off the attentions of our champion Chris Warner, who now takes third place. So Chris Warner up into third place, our overall and pro champion. As we see a fight here between James Neve and Joe Winter for fourth place. Just edging out Winter there slightly on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. And that is just going to be enough, I think, for Neve to break ahead of, yes it is, ahead of Winter. But Andy McEwen, our outgoing champion, he's lost technically that number one plate now. He will be trying to get to another victory. And he has Joe Winter, the driver he was defending from in the second race, the opposite role. He now needs to try and attack and get past the Simtech Racing driver. As we see at the front, things still as they were. They're a move down the inside from Warner on Luke Pullen. So that moves him up into second place, able to clear the year one driver. So at the moment, it is currently Simtech Racing 1-2. Martin Shea leading the way with our champion Chris Warner up into second.
Yeah, great showing from Simtech on lap number 1. We actually saw Joe Winter getting by Andy McEwen as well through the back section of the track. Ian Manners had a good start. He's up to P9, which is what he needs to. In fact, up to P8 now. He's just overtaken Fiona Siddons. So he's doing what he needs to. He's overtaking cars to keep his Pro-Am chances alive. But Martin Shirley has currently got a chokehold on the field right now. In fact, we can see it's that Ian Manners trying to get the inside of Glenn Humberstone there. I think it is. Oh, we've got a car going out sideways. Wayne Douglas making contact with Fiona Siddons. And Fiona will rejoin though. A good save from her. And she rejoins in front of Andy Slocum. Joe Winter and Andy McEwen, I can see on my time screen side by side. Looks like Joe Winter having to defend really hard into Graham Hill Bend. And he runs wide. He's up onto the grass. Now let's not just McEwen by, but also James Neve as well. Just left Joe Winter. It looks like he was under a lot of pressure from the year one car McEwen. Oh, as we see, is that Lee Holmes or was that, no, that's Glenn Humberstone going off in the background. And that's going to give Ian Manners a freebie. Glenn taking a couple of the cones along with him there for a ride. They're getting an Uber down the back stretch right there. In fact, and then Wayne Douglas also as well up the inside of, is that Lee Holmes? Is it? He's just up the inside
Glenn
of
Humberstone.
That's Humberstone still. So Wayne Douglas making moves against 88 Tech cars. Again, good to see. Two 88 Tech cars together. Difficult to tell who's who. Probably the Winter Bandit should really be a giveaway though.
One's on the grass now, one's on the circuit, which is an even bigger giveaway. Oh, that is a very unfortunate collision there. Luke Jones, for the second time today, involved in an incident. That time, clearly the victim. It was an incident by Glenn Humberstone. He was across the grass. We've seen that happen with Ian Manners on the exit of Sterling's, and it happened on the exit of Sheen Curve. I thought he just about saved it there, but the car at the last second defiantly said that's not happening, and there was a slight nudge there from Fiona Siddons on the car of Jones. But while that's all been happening, we've had a change for the lead because Chris Warner, our champion, has gone ahead of Martin Shirley. So we have our champion, shall I say, not championship leader. He is now officially the champion. And we're just looking at the replay now, and it looks like a very easy move here for Chris Warner. Yeah, Martin Shirley letting him take the lead. So yeah, Martin Shirley there knows he just really needs to finish this race, as we said before, to claim the Pro-Am Championship. He'll be happy just to sit behind Chris Warner now for the remaining 11 minutes or so, and strike it home for a Pro-Am Championship win.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on in that endeavour. He's got Luke Pullen behind him, though. It's not friendly fire from behind for Martin Shirley. He's actually got 3 Year 1 cars in a row: Pullen, McEwen, and Neve. And I know Luke Pullen will be wanting to finish overall top dog in Pro-Am. So it's a battle for who can stay on top here and who can get onto the podium. But yeah, currently Shirley and Pullen occupying those places. But with McEwen, Neve, and Winter outside our top 3, you can never get bet against that change here.
Now, as I say, it's a Simtech Racing drivers again, sort of at the front of the field. But Pullen will look to try and get a third Pro-Am win of the evening. Of course, he's been undefeated tonight in that class, and Martin Shirley currently in the Pro-Am lead in second place, but Pullen not far behind at all as they go through Jewers. But he has got his pro teammates of Andy McEwen and James Neve behind, but also, Joe Winter, very uncharacteristically down in 6th place at the moment. He'll be wanting to make moves very quickly, though. On the grass, again, we saw that was what put him behind the 2 Team Year 1 drivers to start with. And again, it's an even bigger mistake this time, going through Surtees. And where is Wayne Douglas in all this? Wayne Douglas hasn't appeared yet to the left-hand side. He's a second behind there. So Joe Winter will not lose another position, but just needs to get his head down. As I say, very uncharacteristically, I think now sort of the championship has been decided. Some of these drivers maybe not concentrating as much as they would be normally, because Joe Winter isn't a driver you expect to make one mistake in a race, let alone 2, in such a short space of time.
I mean, that's a question I want to ask you. As we ride on board here with Andy McEwen chasing down his teammate, a question I want to ask you. So, if you do make a mistake in real life, do you really focus on getting your head down, trying to just clear your mind, or are you trying to chase after it and try and recover any lost time? What's your mindset with it?
I think personally, it's very easy to make that second mistake straight after, because what you're doing is you're overcompensating and pushing hard to try and sort of make up the time again. And I know myself that I've been a victim of that myself. I've made a stupid mistake, and I thought, I just need to get it sorted. And what it's done is actually forced a second mistake, and getting your head down really is sort of the best thing you can do in this situation, and just really try and concentrate and sort of put it past you. But as we see here, it's talking to getting past people. Pullen and McEwen fighting extremely hard as they go down towards Surtees again. It's McEwen on the inside, Pullen on the outside, and what we have seen is that the outside line has proved fruitful for drivers to get an advantage. James Neve there almost pushing Andy McEwen down towards Hawthorne Hill. As Graham says in my ear, one's all over again potentially in the Bally there, but they've been able to keep it in line this time. I think the driver who was involved in that calamity at Monza not actually racing tonight, Michael Seals, so the drivers have managed to get through it this time. It is Andy McEwen still in 4th place with James Neve in 5th and Luke Pullen in 3rd, and Pullen really needs to be trying to attack if he wants to get this Pro-Am victory, but his 2 pro teammates behind him. No love lost between the Year 1 drivers. There's some tyres on the grass there for Luke Pullen, and McEwen and Neve will be catching back up to Luke Pullen, although Neve, that's more interested in trying to make a move on Andy McEwen, goes to the right, now goes to the left, to the outside of Paddock Hill, as we see the cars nearly overlapping. Probably not the best idea, so Neve backs out of it, but what he'll do is I think he'll get a better run out of Paddock Hill, but I don't think he's quite close enough to make the move into Druids.
Indeed, and the 3 Year 1 cars, as entertaining as it is to watch them fight, all that's doing is playing into Simtech's hands. It's letting Warner and Shirley scramble away at the front. It's also letting Winter just catch up from behind as well. So as exciting as it is to watch this, just not the most productive that we can see. We talk about points for fastest lap, by the way. Chris Warner currently has that honour, obviously leading the field as well. He's actually got it by over half a second from Neve and McEwen, his lap honours. So he's absolutely romping away at the front. He's got a 7/10 of a second gap to Martin Shirley. It is very much formation flying at the front. And Year 1 haven't decided what formation they'd like to fly in yet, as we're into our final 5 laps.
And that's something over the course of the season that has cost Year 1 in terms of not only the team points but the driver points as well, is that where Simtech Racing have worked together and sort of they've been quite uniformed, as we see Luke Pullen there with 2 wheels on the grass. The year 1 drivers it's been sort of more of an open door policy where anything goes, and they've been fighting each other. And you've got to think though. Graham is saying he's not out to go Gunter Steiner on them. It just means that maybe that they've not picked up as many points as a team as they maybe should have done this season.
Indeed, I've been on the wrong end of a Graham Sessford rollicking from time to time. It's not a place you want to be. It's like the old Sir Alex Ferguson hairdryer treatment. As we see the year 1 cars again on this external chopper shot, fighting into Druids. It looks like McEwen's finally made a move on Pullen. He'll have the outside into Graham Hill, which isn't the favoured line. Pullen gets in there probably a little bit too deep, I'd say, and that lets Andy McEwen get a good run at him on the way out on the exit. And makes his way past Pullen on the inside into Surtees. And actually, James Neve now getting the overlap on the exit, but not quite getting the run off the corner. Although Pullen had 2 wheels on the grass, he has a wiggle. Graham Sess was telling me in my head this is going to end in tears, and I can't disagree with him. Joe Winter looking interesting behind, darting out to the right, darting out to the left. No way through from these TCRs. A little bit wider than the MX-5s we commentate on a Tuesday night. As Neve's even looking up the inside now. They go through the fast right-hander here at the back of the circuit. Down the hill, down the dip they go. All single file so far. And it looks like we'll have no change here towards the end of the lap. Through the left-hander into Surtees. This is 4 laps ago. We'll have 3 at the line. Still formation flying at the front. Nose to tail in the middle of the pack. And this is even allowing Wayne Douglas now to catch up in P number 7. As we talk about our championship pictures, however, it seems like Ian Manners has been off the track at some point, and that's pointing all the way down into P12. And that pretty much guarantees, in fact, I'm pretty sure we can now crown Martin Shirley our Pro-Am Championships. That is all 3 championships decided here by the end of race number 3. Ian Manners currently being shown, oh, that's him off into the wall, hard on the outside, trying to overtake Wayne Douglas. And that is the end of his race 3, similar to his race 2, and they ended in the barrier. Jeff asked us what the prizes were for winning. Unfortunately, Ian Manners won't be finding that out. Hard contact Leon Code, 2 races in a row, all but end his championship hopes. Martin Shirley, congratulations to him, a Pro-Am champion.
I echo those. It's a very well done to Martin Shirley. As I say, he has been the class of the Pro-Am field this season, and Ian Manners has done well to take it to the last meeting, but I still think Ian Manners provided one of the moments of the season at Silverstone International when he single-handedly fought off the Simtech Racing drivers, the might of them, and that I think is definitely one of my highlights of the season, was just seeing that defensive drive. It was sort of one of the drive of the season moments. If there's just one particular moment over the course of the season that sort of deserved credit, I think it was that, because Manners being a Pro-Am driver, it's not worked out for him tonight, unfortunately, but it's just that one drive at Silverstone, I think, was definitely sort of one of the moments of the season. I don't know if you agree with me not there, Reese, but I think that definitely was one of the more entertaining races we've had this season.
Indeed it was. Silverstone's probably one of the better tracks for racing as well. Plenty of draft down that long hanger straight as well. Really exciting stuff. It was great in both series as well. But yeah, formation flying still at the front. 2 to go. And it's a 1-2 for Simtech Racing. It looks like Joe Winter as well has now managed to get past Luke Pullen, who looks like he's made mistakes. He's actually now dropped behind Wayne Douglas as well. And he's diving back up the inside. Why am I not surprised? We've seen so many gutsy moves so far today. Down into Graham Hill Bend. But it looks like he's got the outside for Surtees, which isn't preferred. But we might get the run out the corner and get a decent run down the straight towards Hawthorne. They've got the 88 tech car of Lee Holmes right with them as well. We will have action all the way to the flag here, guys, I think, in race number 3.
Exactly. We're about a lap and a half to go, and although at the front there doesn't look like there's going to be much change in this battle's intriguing between one former racing driver and Wayne Douglas, and we've got Luke Pullen, current MX-5 championship driver as well. So 2 drivers who have raced in the real world, although Pullen only close there to putting a wheel on the grass. Lee Holmes has a little cheeky look down the inside there into Sterling's, but not able to make the move, stick that pack in front. Looks like it's getting quite close as well. Yeah, it is. Winter right on the back of Neve, is right on the back of McEwen, and James Neve looking to try and make a move on the defending champion Andy McEwen. Neither try and go around the outside. But this fighting, as we said earlier, could bring Syntec Racing right back into this. Joe Winter will be looking to make a move on James Neve after that failed attack from Neve on McEwen. So they go in towards Druids. There we go. Winter down the inside of Druids. That is a good move there from Joe Winter, although he's not fully clear, James Neve, so Neve will have the inside into Graham Hill Bend. A little bit of contact between the pair there, and it's Neve who comes off second best. So up into fourth place goes Joe Winter, as we are now on the final lap of round 39 of the season. It's Joe Winter taking advantage of yet more Year 1 infighting.
Indeed, and that's very much been the story of the season. A little bit more organisation from the Simtech cars, and it's let Joe Winter recover to fourth place in this race. But it looks like Andy McEwen is going to get the podium out of this. Remember, we looked at the Driver of the Week stats. Andy McEwen was just ahead of Joe Winter after 2 races, and that theme continues right here in race number 3. But race number 3, the plaudits have to go to Chris Warner. He's looked very commanding right from when he hit the front. Even when he was menacing the rear of his teammate, he still looked menacing even then. And as he rounds clearways for the final time, he's completely unchallenged. 2.5 seconds lead. A comfortable victory for Chris Warner, new champion. Looking forward to seeing him in the 1 car next season. Wins the day for Simtech Racing. Martin Shirley in second. Andy McEwen just about holds off Joe Winter for third place. And then Joe Winter and James Neve 4th and 5th. Congratulations to Martin Shirley. That is the confirmation. He is now our champion for Pro-Am 2. So he moves on up to Pro 4 next season. And we now have our 3 champions for the season. Simtech Racing guys pulling on over. They don't need to do a slow down lap just there as we watch Andy Slocum cross the line. And then it's Luke Jones just behind him running out our field. We're going to head back to the studio now. So Dan, race 3 in the books.
Yeah, penultimate race of the season, and we now have all 3 championships decided. As we say, we got our pro and overall champion Chris Warner. Martin Shirley is our Pro-Am champion, and Luke Jones in the Audi RS3 is our AM champion. And with all 3 champions crowned, it means the last race of the season really is looking like it's just going to be potentially an all-out war. Everything's decided. And it's just a case of every man for themselves. Although there may be still some positions further down to be decided. I don't know how close Joe Winter is to overtaking the absent Paul Cook as well. So there could be a few races, a few positions which that race will affect. But the main ones have been unaffected. But of course, for the final time this season for British Sim Racers Touring Cars, Graham Sesswood will get his magic wheel of fortune out and decide the destiny of our final race of the season. That will be coming very shortly here on Year 1 TV, as we see in that final race. And as I say, Reece, he was saying earlier, so all the championships have now been decided. What sort of mindsets do we think will have come into the last race of the season? We've seen in real life with the British Touring Car Championship that when there is nothing to be decided, it can be rather tasty and spicy. I wonder if we'll get a similar taste in this final race of the season.
I'm pretty sure the guys are going to ramp the action up. We've already been told by our production team that we're not allowed to enter the race ourselves, Dan. It's been quite fun to commentate whilst driving. The wheel spins, though, for the final time this season. We'll see where it lands and decide the fate of... we've got beer full in our ears. Is it going to be 10 or is it just going to click on over? That's going to be close.
10.
Whoa!
Oh.
That is 10, but only by, pixels on our screen. By a cube on our screen. And Pete, number 10. So that looks like Luke Jones will be our pole position sitter. But Dan's going to run us through the full results now so we can see who starts where.
Here we go then. So for round 39, the third race at night, it was Chris Warner taking victory. Martin Shirley, our newly crowned Pro-Am champion, in second. And Andy McEwen in third place, our outgoing Pro champion. They are on our podium. And we see there, that is the confirmation of that. In fourth place is Joe Winter. Very close battle with the 2-year one drivers. He just takes fourth place from James Neve, who was in fifth place. Martin Shirley taking the Pro-Am win, his first of the evening. as well in second place. Wayne Douglas finished that race in 6th with Lee Holmes and 7th. Luke Pullen was 8th and took the second place in Pro-Am Honours. Andy Slocum takes the AM victory from Luke Jones for Simtech Racing. So Simtech Racing taking all 3 classes in round 39, with Luke Jones, as we say, in the JW Motorsport Audi rounding out the top 10. And they were the only 10 drivers who finished the race. We have Fiona Siddons, Ian Manners, Glenn Humberstone and Chris Dixon as non-finishers for round 39.
There we are, round 39 in the books, Dan. Unfortunately, it's round number 40 next, the final round of the season. It's 22 points between second and third in Pro. And I think that comes from Fiona Siddons in the YouTube chat. I'm just checking the account name on that one. And yeah, there's a confirmation of that. Very, very tight. So as much as it's all set up for top dog prizes, actually second and third is the battle we're going to see. It's an inter-team battle, which probably explains why they were fighting quite so hard in race number 3, just to the chagrin of Graham Zesford, team boss. But here we are, looking forward to it, looking forward to what fireworks our drivers can provide in the final round of the season. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take a short break, replenish ourselves, and see you all in time for round number 4 of the evening.
Good evening and welcome back to Year 1 TV. It is the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship. I'm Dan Blake, alongside me is Reece Saunders, and here we are. We've had 39 races. We are now at the final race of the season, race 40. We have had our champions signed, sealed and delivered, which means one last blast for these BSR TCR drivers before they start plotting next season's success. We are at Brands Hatch GP, as I say, it is the final round, and we have one last 15-minute encounter. The drivers have just about over a minute and a half left before they go to the grid. As we go into the final race, Reece, it's been a very closely fought season. Are there any memories or moments that you remember well from the season?
I think the quality of racing all season long, Dan, really does just hold true. The talent these guys have displayed, especially at tracks like Monza, where the draft kept them nice and close, I thought was great. Obviously, all went wrong for the Year 1 cars at Monza, and that's kind of a standout low light for me. But yeah, seeing the dominance right from the beginning of SimTech as well. What professional outfit they are. But yeah, Dan, you're a man of experience, and you know that a lot can happen in 15 minutes. What are you looking forward to see in that final 15-minute frolic of the season?
I think it's going to be intense. As we say, all the championships are decided. We've got the second place battle, of course, though, which you shouldn't forget, between James Neve and Andy McEwen. So we may see some more action between the two teammates, and it will be interesting to see who ends up on top of that one. Andy McEwen does have the narrow points lead over James Neve, and he's probably the favourite to take it. But as we see an overview of the Brands Hatch circuit there, the Carly Bridge just before Druids, a very iconic circuit, and something else which we may touch upon before we get into this race. Of course, iRacing announcing today first electric car coming into the service, and that will be something to maybe try next season. A bit different from the conventional sort of cars we've had on the service.
Indeed, Dan. Yes, I'm really excited to see how the just the pure torque of an electric car will fare on iRacing. Not sure how they'll get around a 24-hour race, stop every hour for a 15-minute break and a coffee whilst they recharge the batteries. So we'll see how that one works out. But that's all in the future. We're living for the now. As we head over to the grid for the final time this evening, it's Luke Jones who'll be leading the field away from pole, with Andy Slocum in second place, Luke Pullen leading the way in Pro-Am in third, and then it's Lee Holmes for 88 Tech, Wayne Douglas for Douglas Motorsport. And then it's James Neve ahead of Joe Winter, Andy McEwen. So Neve having the advantage in that second place fight. Obviously, he's got 22 points to make up. Then Martin Shirley, our Pro Champion, with Chris Warner. Pro-Am Champion with Chris Warner, our Pro Champion. Then it's Siddons, Manners, and Humston and Dixon. But the lights are on, Dan. Take us away for the final round of the season. It's a big jump start at the back.
Joe Winter with a big jump start, but lights on and off they go. We're underway for the final race of the season, and that's probably the biggest jump start we've seen this season there from Joe Winter. He stopped, but I'm pretty sure he will have the punishment of a stop-go penalty or a drive-through to contend with following the end of this first lap. But Luke Jones is in the lead with Andy Slocum in second place, so our two AM drivers 1-2, and Luke Jones already following away to the tune of over a second, probably the biggest lead that we have seen our pole position driver make in the first half a lap so far, as he goes down in towards 30s for the first time. And say it is our final race of the season, and there'll be no more British Sim Racers touring cars for a little while on BSR. I'm sure they will have another season planned shortly. I'd say there's a couple more new tracks I think we'll be getting over the course of the off-season as well. And the Norwegian track, I saw that was an interesting one. But as we say, enough of the here and now, as we got the Luke Pullen, who is in the pits, it looks like. So Luke Pullen's race and season not ended how he'd like it. He's in the pit lane, but the battle at the front is Luke Jones and now Lee Holmes up into second place. That's the SimTech racing car going flying off there through Sheen Curve. Joe Winter. So Joe Winter's race is gone from bad to worse for him. He jumped the start and now has fallen down towards the back of the field. He's got a massive lunge there from James Neve on Andy Slocum. and Dwayne Douglas barging his way through as well. As Ian Manners, I think, has got a jump start as well. He's into the pits. So he got punted into the pits, I'm being told in my ear. So Ian Manners' night is not going any better. He's had problems in races 2, 3, and 4 on what could have been a Pro-Am Championship winning night for him. But unfortunately, the racing gods were not smiling upon him today. But at the front of the field, Luke Jones, it is who has got the lead. We haven't actually seen an AM winner this season. So Luke Jones looking to maybe be the first AM winner, but I think the odds of that are very low indeed, because Lee Holmes straight down the inside, going through 30s, and 88 Tech, quite fittingly, we've seen them have the race, taking some victories this season in the British Sim Racers touring cars, and it's them who lead the final race of the season. The JWM car of Jones not giving up easily. Oh, contact between the two of them! It's sent Jones around. Holmes stays on the track. I think actually Luke Jones may have stayed out the barrier there. If he did, that is a very good save from Luke Jones. But at the front, it is Lee Holmes in the lead. Wayne Douglas going through Dingle-Dell, going to try and make a brave move on James Neave for second place. Not quite going to make it work as they go through Sterling's. Chris Warner's also in this kerfuffle. Douglas on the grass, comes back on the track, manages to save it from shooting across. But we said the racing may be rather intense in this final race, and the BSR TC delivering what it always does, unpredictable action.
Yeah, it's been fireworks in the final round of the season. We've had some premature finishes from some of our drivers, Pullen and Winter, both finishing in the pits. Unfortunate for them to see their season end, but we've still got 12 competitors fighting hard. Andy McEwen just setting the fastest lap of the race with a 33.4. He's got Chris Warner right in front of him. Hard man to follow, hard man to pass. But Lee Holmes scampering away at the front for 88 Tech. He'll be hoping to add to his win column for this season, Dan. And yeah, exciting, delicately poised with 11 minutes left to go.
This could be a rather exciting climax to the season, because you've got Lee Holmes for 88 Tech in the lead. You have the Team Year 1 and Simtech Racing Cars in hot pursuit. If Lee Holmes wants to come first in this final race of the season, he is going to have to shake off the attentions not only of Team Year 1, but Simtech Racing as they go round the GP loop for what is the third time. There's a move going on for second place. Chris Warner down the inside of James Neave. Is he going to make it stick? Yes, he is, although around the outside, James Neave trying to fight with all his might, but it looks like it is going to be Chris Warner, our champion, who takes second place. His next target will be Lee Holmes, but the Team Year 1 drivers, I don't think they're quite finished yet, but in that battle that we were talking about for second place in the championship, Neave is ahead of McEwen on the track, but McEwen did have quite a big points advantage, so I think at the moment it is going to be Andy McEwen taking second place, but Wayne Douglas is on the back of this train as well, and we know Wayne is a very hard fighter as he goes down through Paddock Hill Bend. I think Wayne Douglas will be a factor in this race going forward.
Plenty of factors to be taken consideration of. We know who's in the top 5, but we don't know what order they're going to finish in. Lee Holmes currently in prime position though, with a good lead over Chris Warner. But it's only 1.6 seconds to the gap, and with 10 minutes to go, that is not a safe gap at all. So it's Holmes, Warner, Neave, McEwen, Douglas at top 5. Then it's our Pro-Am champion Martin Shirley in P6, with his runner-up Ian Manners in 7th. Then it's Slocum and Humberston in 8 and 9. Luke Jones at AM winner is currently in 10th for Siddons, and Dixon right now at running drivers.
Also, Joe Winter a retirement as well, so Joe Winter's season not ending well, and that also will any hopes he had of overtaking Paul Cook in this race to take what would be 4th in the overall championship are now gone as well. So Joe Winter did have the chance going into this one to finish 4th, but that will not happen as we see the gap between Holmes and Warner goes by the corner a bit more lower. The gap now to just over a second. Andy McEwen under a lot of pressure from Wayne Douglas, and Wayne Douglas is going to slip down the inside of Andy McEwen here on the home straight as he goes. Here we go. He's got the inside line. Andy McEwen on the outside as Andy McEwen slots in behind Wayne Douglas towards Paddock Hill Bend. He is going to have the drive up towards Dewards, not quite able to make the move on Wayne Douglas, but Andy McEwen looks very rampant behind Wayne Douglas at the moment. He is going to try and take that 4th place with all of his might, but as they go into Graham Hill, it's still Douglas in 4th, McEwen 5th.
Indeed, all to play for, and you can just see with nothing really to fight for too much. I know neither McEwen are fighting for P2 overall. All the championships decided. Is a no-holds-barred slugfest at the front of our field. The drivers are definitely packing in quality over quantity. Only the 12 drivers still running, but say they're all putting up one heck of a fight with each other. And yet it's Neve, Douglas, and McEwen still 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But that gap's come tumbling down, so it's now only 4 tenths. If we can get to the front of the field, the gap's only 4 tenths at the front of the field between Holmes and Warner. So Chris Warner showing his champion's might as he hunts down Lee Holmes, and Lee Holmes up thinking, how on earth am I going to keep him behind me?
Exactly, it's Chris Warner is really pushing here on Lee Holmes as the gap now down to just under 3 tenths of a second, and as you see, Chris Warner has got a bit more, it's just under half the race to go, so there is plenty of time for Chris Warner to make the move that he needs to make to seal the champion season with the win in the last race of the season. As you go there, he's right on the back here of Lee Holmes going in towards Dewis, not quite able to make the move into Dewis. In a battle for 3rd place, Neve has been contact there with Wayne Douglas. Douglas gets through into 3rd place. That probably was a touring car move if I ever saw one. I just caught the rear end of that, but it looked like that there was definite contact between Douglas and Neve as he breaks down now in towards 30s. But Wayne Douglas up into 3rd place, Neve 4th, McEwen in 5th. And it's a shame for SimTech Racing really that we've lost Joe Winter from the race, because SimTech Racing, as I see here, Warner, I'll go back to what I was about to say very shortly, because Warner on the attack as he goes round the outside of Lee Holmes. Oh, that's a little bit of a nudge there. He's cleared him. What a move from Chris Warner. We thought the 88 Tech team may have struck it lucky in the final race of the season, but Chris Warner, he has done all season and the rest of his SimTech Racing, showing that it really is SimTech on top. What I was going to say was that it's a shame that the car of Joe Winter is no longer running in this race, because if they had the 2 drivers 1-2, they could have had the perfect money shot as they cross the line of the 2 SimTech drivers side by side, celebrating their championship glories. Martin Shirley, of course, in 6th place as well. So they may be able to take the photo of the 2 champions. Joe Winter may actually be able to get out for the last lap. We have seen sort of Le Mans style where drivers go out for the final lap. Joe Winter, in fact, has retired. So we will not be seeing Joe Winter at the end of the session for any of the festivities in terms of the photos. But it's going to be a very triumphant night for SimTech Racing as Andy Slocum and Glenn Humberston going at a hammer and tongs into Drew, as Humberstone having a little peek there on the inside of Slocum, but Slocum defends well. And this is actually the battle for the AM lead. It's Andy Slocum from Glenn Humberstone, the 88 Tech team manager, and they're recovering Luke Jones in 3rd place. We saw Luke Jones at the front of the field when he had that little incident with Lee Holmes, which caused him to go across the grass, and he kept it out of the wall. Ian Manners, though, is actually currently leading the Pro-Am in this race. He's not going to take the Pro-Am championship, but it looks like he may finish the season with a strong showing. The gap between himself and Martin Shea, the champion, is just over half a second. And that's a battle we see actually in front of us on screen there. So they're fighting out for the Pro-Am lead. And we've got a nice 3-car battle for the AM win.
Yeah, it's tense up and down the field. Andy Slocum, and that'd be his first win of the season as well, so he'll be desperate to hold on to that. Ben Humberston, though, P2. And then you got the champ himself, Luke Jones, in 3rd place, and that's the one where you think, you know what, actually, they're almost on the reverse order. I know Humberston's won races this season. Jones has won the championship. And you got Slocum trying to seal his first maiden deal with this one, so that'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in our final 3 laps of the evening. Chris Warner starting to canter away now from Lee Holmes. Then Douglas as well, he's got almost a second's gap to James Neve. Actually, Wayne Douglas is only 7 tenths behind Lee Holmes. He's found some real pace here at the end of the season, and Wayne Douglas, when he's not being fired off into the barriers, shows that he is a steely competitor.
And speaking of steely competitors, our top two in Pro-Am are fighting hard. Ian Manners and Martin Shelley. There was just over 3 minutes left to go, so there'll be 2 laps to go when they cross the finish line this time. But the gap between Manners and Shelley extremely close, just under 3/10 between them. As we see Ian Manners go around the GP loop, and Brandtouch GP is second. I haven't actually driven in real life. One that's on my list I want to do. Probably about the only circuits I haven't driven, but Martin Shirley around the Grand Prix circuit is giving Ian Manners some real pressure here as they go through on the GP loop through Sterling's for the what is the 8th time. The gap at the front between Warner and Holmes is stable at about a second, and then Wayne Douglas a further 6/10 back. So quite an even spread between our 3 leaders. But we see Chris Warner, the champion for the Pro class, currently on track to finish the season on top with Lee Holmes second and Wayne Douglas third. Neither McEwen are still 4th and 5th in that order, so Andy McEwen I think will take second place in the championship. Not quite able to defend this championship this season, but he will take the runners-up slot potentially here in with a second place in the championship. But Chris Warner going around 30s and onto the GP loop for the penultimate time this season. And the gap between Holmes and Douglas looks like it's getting ever shorter as well. Douglas has found another couple of tenths there on Lee Holmes as they went through the Indy section of the circuit. And that could be a battle to the death on the final lap, because Wayne Douglas does seem to have a pace advantage on Lee Holmes at the moment.
He does indeed, and he's all over the back of him as they head up towards Sheen. 2 laps to go, not many opportunities. This fight down into Paddock Hill, this will be Wayne Douglas's best chance, so he'll just be trying to size Lee Holmes up through Sterling, and he's done that. Both of them have grabbed the apex. It looks like a little bit of a wobble almost from Lee Holmes. Small amount of oversteer, just that you can see the year 1 cars cut adrift ever so slightly. But yeah, as we can see, getting a good run through clearways. That might be good enough run for Lee Holmes there. And the gap just under, or just over a quarter of a second as they cross the line for the almost final time. White flag fever in the air. Will Wayne Douglas make a send? And we'll see just as they head up into Druidsdown.
Well, he's going to go for it down the inside, but Lee Holmes just about defends the move from Wayne Douglas. It is the final lap of the season in the British Sim Racers Touring Cars, and Lee Holmes is defending from Wayne Douglas, but I think Wayne Douglas will look for a move down into Sterling's. Lee Holmes maybe not as defensive as he should be, because there is the late lunge from Douglas. There will be a slight bit of contact, but Wayne Douglas, he's cleared him as well. That's a fantastic move. Lee Holmes not happy about the amount of contact I think that was used there, but in terms of sending it, that is Wayne Douglas with a straight A from the school to send.
Indeed, and Wayne Douglas making it through to second, securing that second spot on the podium. And with the pace advantage he's had, I can't see him being challenged here in the final lap. It looks like Chris Warner, though, has got it in the bag at Pro winner, at overall winner. And it looks like he's going to be our race for winner. Exit Sterling for the final time on the run under the Advan Bridge, down towards clearways for the final time. Chris Warner got this one in the bag, winning it at a canter. Not the first time I've said that tonight. Under the lights he goes, a flash of his lights, past the checkered flag. Chris Warner wins, Wayne Douglas second, Lee Holmes third, all down to the final lap on the podium. James Neve in fourth, Andy McEwen bringing it home in 5th place. It'll be interesting to see what that does for points. I think that still means that McEwen will edge out for second in the championship, with Ian Manners beating Martin Shirley in race number 4, but not for the championship. So confirmation, Shirley the Pro-Am champ, and then Slocum holds on for his first win of the season in P number 8, with Glenn Humberstone 9th, and then Luke Jones rounding out our top 10. Fiona Siddons and Chris Dixon rounding out our finishers, with Pullen and Winter both not being classified. And there we have it, Dan. That is a wrap for not just meeting number 10, but also for our BSR season just here. Wow, it's been a pleasure to call it with you, buddy.
So here we go. That is the final race of the season, and it is Chris Warner taking another victory. A champion's drive, you could say, from Chris Warner. And rightly so, congratulations, Chris, on your pro victory. Also, congratulations to Martin Shirley on the Pro-Am Championship and Luke Jones on the AM one as well. Simtech take 2 of our 3 Drivers' Championships. And Brands Hatch, there's been some exciting racing. We say not the biggest of fields we've had this season for the British Sim Racing touring cars, but the action that we have seen tonight between those drivers has been fantastic stuff. It's been close, it's been competitive, it's been classic touring car racing. As we said at the start of the season, the British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship has been running now for nearly a decade, and over the course of the championship, we've seen the Kia Optima for the majority of the British Sim Racers touring cars, but the TCR cars in recent seasons have been introduced as the car, and with 3 different touring cars, and who knows, by the time the British Sim Racers touring cars comes back next season, could even be a 5th car. As I say, we already got the 4 actually. We've got the Audi, the 2 Hyundais, and the Honda, and it'll be interesting to see if iRacing will add another touring car in the near future. But the touring cars are a championship we've seen, to say, for nearly a decade, and they always produce entertainment. As we see our final podium of the season there, it's Chris Warner from Wayne Douglas and Lee Holmes. That's the podium we haven't seen too often this season. As we see the confirmation of the result, it's Warner, Douglas and Holmes, the top 3 in overall and pro. James Neve takes 4th place ahead of Andy McEwen in 5th, but as far as the championship goes, I think that's enough to put Andy McEwen as the season's runner-up. Ian Manners may not have won the Pro-Am Championship, but he has the final win of the season ahead of Martin Shirley, who finishes 7th. 8th is Andy Slocum, taking his first AM win of the season, with Glenn Humberstone 9th, 2nd in AM, and Luke Jones taking 3rd place in AM and 10th overall. Luke Jones is our AM champion. And in terms of the rest of our finishers, Fiona Siddons is 11th, and Chris Dixon rounds out our finishers. And our drivers who did not finish the final race of the season, Luke Pullen, and the luckless in that race anyway, Joe Winter.
Yeah, we saw Joe make a mistake at the start. He must have just let his clutch out too soon or jumped into first, because I don't think there is a clutch car in these TCRs. And yeah, he jumped the start and then he got punted off in Sheen Corner. And that was his season over there. Same for Luke Pullen, also not making it past the first lap as well. Big shame for those guys, however. However, let's not dwell on that. Let's congratulate our champions, Chris Warner, Martin Shirley, and also Luke Jones as well. 3 well-deserving champions here in the BSR TCR series. Did you manage to find out if there was any prizes available, Dan?
We didn't, but we will have another look now. As I say, the British Sim Racers touring cars in previous seasons has had some rather tasty prizes, and for this season we will, what I can see, I think also very shortly as well, we are going to see our final championship standings as well.
Whilst you look that up for us, I'll run through those final standings for you. So, confirmation, final champion, Chris Warner, finishing on 2,879 points and winning the championship. Andy McEwen finishing 2nd with James Neve in 3rd position. And then Paul Cook did manage to hold on to P4 in the championship. And then there was big changes. So we were talking about how Joe Winter might be able to overtake Paul Cook there in race number 4. Well, actually, by DNFing, he lost out not just to Lee Holmes, who finished in 5th, but also Martin Shirley as well, Pro-Am champion, finishing P6 overall. A great showing for him, and nearly a 200-point lead in the end from Ian Manners in 8th. Luke Jones was AM champion, and he finished P9 in the end in the championship, with Craig Schill, who didn't feature tonight, in P number 10. As we roll over to the second page of our standings, we've got Fiona Siddons finishing P11, a strong showing from her, with Reese Watts ultimately missing out and being in P12, 3rd in AM, obviously missing the final round of the season. Then it was Chris Dixon, Luke Pullen, and Wayne Douglas in 15th, great showing from him in the final race. Ben Hummelstone, Craig McDonald, Alice Thatcher, Michael Seal, and our race full winner for Andy Slocum, finishing in P number 20. As we roll over to what I believe to be the final page of standings, you've got series organiser Rob Jackson in P21, remember the stats himself, Joshua Fitzpatrick, the lady we pronounced name wrong all season long in P number 22. And I'm just being told I've done it wrong once again. I can only apologise at this point. Nathan Davies, P23. And then Brad Hulse, late entrant into the championship, started from Monza, not available tonight. He finished P24. With Mark Oliver, 25th. Long-time stalwart Kip Stevens in P number 26. And then fearsome competitor Chris Knox only made the one appearance. He finished P27 in the championship. And that's a full rundown of championship points for us just there. We're going to have Andy McEwen in for one last interview for the season. But Dan, how did you get on with your research?
Not very well. I can't see in the regulations any prizes. I know in previous seasons that there has been sort of the prizes, but this season, from what I can tell, there aren't any prizes. But of course, the drivers have produced some fantastic racing for us tonight and have all season, so they can take a huge amount of pride, if nothing more, from this season.
They can indeed. And here we are, joined by the Cheshire Cat himself, the best commentator on our screens right now. It's Andy McEwen. Unfortunately, now our former champion of BSR TCR, but our current champion of MX5. So it's not all a disaster. You were a dual champion for a couple of days this week, Andy. Talk us through not just Brands Hatch, but your season so far.
Yeah, hi guys. I hadn't thought of it that way actually. For 2 whole days, I was the undisputed king of BSR, but Chris more than deserves the championship this season. I think it's fair to say he's been quite a bit faster than everyone else. So huge congrats to him. Been a good fun season actually. I think I've enjoyed this season more than last season, weirdly. Because partly, I guess, towards the end, the pressure was off. I realised that, Chris was going to take quite some beating. But I actually think the racing's been better this season. There's been less politics off track. It's just been a really enjoyable season. So, good fun. And tonight, I mean, I don't think I've laughed as much as I've laughed tonight because the pressure was well and truly off. We knew the championship was out of reach, and it was all about who was going to finish second between me and James. It's been a real laugh in the Discord tonight, I can tell you.
I'm glad you've been able to laugh about that, Andy. I've had Graham Sesford in my ear all 4 races saying, why are they fighting? Why are they fighting? Simtek's going to beat them. Why are they fighting? So at least you guys have both had fun just there. But now, I'm glad you enjoyed it. What was the highlights of your season?
Oh, that's actually really tough. I can tell you what the low light was. That was Monza for sure. That was not our finest hour. But do you know what? I'm going to say Donington Park, the GP loop. I didn't race at Donington at the start of the season, but I'd had a bit of a rough patch in the middle of the season, Monza included, and then a couple of tracks where I was a little bit off the pace for no apparent reason, really. I don't know what was going on. And then, Donington winning 2 races. Again, I wasn't the fastest driver there that night, but I was able to deploy some canny racecraft and had a really good battle with Nathan Davis in one race and then pulled off quite a nice move to get to the lead in race 4. So that was kind of important for me. It gave me a real confidence boost, which actually probably helped me in the last few weeks of the MX5 as well.
Excellent. Glad to hear that, Andy. I'm going to hand you over to Dan. Dan, any questions from yourself for Mr. McEwen?
Not really. As I say, I think you pretty much covered sort of everything that there was. One thing I will say is that as well, very good driving from you tonight, Andy, as well. And of course, with it being the end of the season, it's always good to finish the season with a victory, and did that tonight as well. So going forward to next season, are you looking to enter the British Sim Racers Touring Cars when it restarts?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few discussions being had about what to do with the championship. Obviously, the numbers have dropped off a bit this season, which is a shame. So we need to try and reinvigorate it somehow. But yeah, if it happens, then I'll be there for sure. I love racing with BSR. It's kind of the reason that I got into sim racing was so that I could race in specifically the MX5 series. Never expected to be any good at the TCRs, actually. It was a complete shock when I figured out that I kind of had a knack for it. And I'll be back next season for sure. And we're getting into that time of year now where I'm not quite as busy, or within the next couple of months, maybe quite as busy with real world motorsport as well. So I can dedicate a bit more time to practicing and really give those SimTech drivers a run for the money.
Just going to touch on something else as well. Of course, you are the voice of the TCR UK Championship on our screens. Have you had any of the drivers been watching your progress on the sim? Has anyone sort of any banter been had this season about your performances on iRacing?
One or two, actually. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they've stumbled across it, but actually, a couple of drivers. This is going to sound so braggy. A couple of drivers have come up to me in the last couple of TCR rounds and said, "You've raced real cars before, right?" And I was like, "No, never even sat in one." But because they'd seen the sim racing and I guess I talk a good game, they kind of thought I had. So it's really nice actually to see the real world drivers over the last couple of years taking sim racing so much more seriously and realizing that it's serious competition. And I've dragged a couple of them over. Luke Pullen, our teammate who's come over from Mazda MX-5s, and he was thrilled, by the way, Dan, with your comment about how he's a very good driver on his day. He's been going on about that all night, so you've wound him up royally. Thanks for saying that. But yeah, he's come in and found it's really, really good fun and really, really tough competition as well. So I like converting the real world drivers into sim racing, which I never ever thought I'd find myself doing.
It's a good job I'm not in that paddock anymore, so I won't have to take the flak in person. But thank you very much, Andy. As I say, congratulations on your runner-up position. So the last 2 seasons, champion and runner-up. So not bad going at all. Very well done, Andy. And thank you for joining us on the broadcast tonight, and as you have done for most of the season. It's much appreciated.
No, and right back at you. Thanks for amazing coverage. Graham's been putting in some real work with all the graphics and the stats and things, and that's been really well appreciated. Commentary's been top class as always. So thanks guys. More of the same next season.
It'll be good to see you, Andy. Thank you very much.
There we go. So there is Andy McEwen, our runner-up. Remind myself not to go near the AB Motorsport awning in the future BRSCC rounds. I may have Luke Pullen want to have grab me aside for a quick word. Very sorry, Luke. Of course, it's all very good driver. I noticed you got a podium in real life at Cadwell Park as well. So well done on that. You can drive an MX-5 Mark 1 better than I can. So I'll give you that one, definitely. So as we say, that is the 40th and final race of the season done. I say it's been great to cover the championship with you, Reese. We have covered some fantastic racing, and there has been some great moments as well. Also, a thank you to Graham Sessford, the voice in our ear, keeping us sane at times and providing some humour as well. So thank you very much, Graham, for that. And any final thoughts for you, Reese, as well before we call an end to the BSRTC for this season?
No, just a big thank you to Graham for keeping me insane most of the time with the voice in my ear. And thank you very much, Dan, for being my co-commentator as well. It's been great. It's my first season of commentating, so I've learned a lot, not just from yourself, but also Jack Oliphant as well. You've both got very different styles, and some of your stats and your analysis I've learned heaps from. So thank you very much for that. It's been a pleasure to share the virtual booth with you, and I can't wait to do it time and time again in seasons going forward.
Should we get Graham? Should we see if Graham will have a? I reckon we should give. No, he does. I thought we would give him his 2 seconds of fame, but very shy is Mr. Sessford. He will have you believe. So I believe that is a wrap on the BSRTC. As we were saying before, big congratulations to Chris Warner, our Pro Champion, Martin Shirley, the Pro-Am Champion, and Luke Jones, our AM Champion. As I say, thank you very much, viewers, for watching us. Even if it's your first time watching, or you tell you've been with us for the season, we will say goodbye from now, and we will see you next time.